Hello, class. The purpose of this video is to help you with your first discussion post. So let's take a look at the discussion assignment. So let's try course menu, learning modules. Ooh, actually, I probably could have just clicked on discussion. So I'll click module 1, and here's the 1-1 discussion. Again, I could have jumped to this area quicker by simply going course menu and discussions. But I went into the learning module, and this is the week 1 module. And when I scroll down, I see my discussion, my first discussion assignment. So it looks like there's two options, option 1 and option 2. When you're doing your discussion, I'd like you to actually write option 1 in your title or your subject heading, or option 2. So whichever option you choose, I'd like you to let the class know that, yes, I've chosen option 2, or I've chosen option 1. Okay, so let's take a look at option 1. That's the one I'm going to work on this week. Perhaps you might try option 2, but I like the look of option 1, so that's what I'm going to work on this week. So it says, given this data set, so I click the data set, and an Excel file is downloaded at the bottom of my screen. It might save to your downloads folder or your desktop. Everyone's computer is different. And I'm going to open that file in a moment. This is what my file looks like, and you'll notice some headings up here: year, month, CLDD. We want the total precipitation. I think that's this TPCP. If you're not sure, I believe it says variables down here, and I can take a look to get a definition of all these titles. TPCP is total precipitation in tenths of a millimeter. And then you have some other data here. So I go back. So we are really interested in this heading here. So let's go back to our assignment. So I've opened up the data set, and it says it gives us, we're supposed to select a random month between January 1941 and December 1957. And they want us to take 25 values. So that's basically 2 years in 1 month. And they ask us to construct a histogram to represent our sample. And they ask us for the sample mean, median, and standard deviation. And they want us to determine the interval for the middle 68% of our sample data and relate this to the sample standard deviation. And then we're supposed to make some discussion here. So I would suggest, why don't we do the histogram? And that's really going to be the point of this video, to construct your histogram, and then maybe even come up with a quick way to look at your mean, median, and standard deviation. All right, so to construct the histogram, we're going to have to open up StatCrunch. So let's go back to course menu. I'm sorry, let's go to, on the left side of your screen, My Stat Lab. And then let's look for StatCrunch. I'll click on that. And it says visit StatCrunch website. And I'm going to open StatCrunch. And now, if you remember that Excel spreadsheet we had, this is my total precipitation, and I can pick anywhere I want. I think it's at 1947, so I scroll down, and you can see here's 1947, and this keeps going. Right, this is the year 51, 1952. There should be 12 entries here because there's 12 months in each year. So I need to pick 25 data points. So I decided to start from 1951 and go to the end of 1952 plus 1 more month. So this would be my first point and my last point. And I just wanted to quickly identify the lowest value and the highest value of this series. You don't actually have to color this data. I did it just so you can see what I was talking about, the data I was working with. So I'm going to highlight these 25 points, and I'm going to press Control-C on my computer to copy this into StatCrunch. So I go back to my StatCrunch window, I click on a box, I press Control-V, and it should paste my data here. All right, so here's my 25 points, and if I click let's see. If I click graph and I click histogram, so it looks like my data is stored in variable 1 or var 1. So I select that column to look at. And I'm going to look at this start at and with later. So right now I just want to create a histogram with what I have here. I press compute, and there's my histogram. Okay. So if I want to maybe change this, so it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes. I believe I can put values over these boxes. If I click options and edit, it says value above bar. So I'll click that and see how that changes things. I press compute. So it tells me the number of occurrences or the frequency above each box. If we go back to my data, you remember my lowest value was 300 and my highest value was 2081. A nice way to create a good looking histogram, sometimes people like to subtract maybe this 2100 and 300 and divide by the number of boxes they'd like. So if you want maybe 10 boxes, you might divide this value by 10. Maybe you want 15 boxes, so you divide the difference by 15. So I'm going to create maybe 10 boxes. So I open up my calculator, and maybe I'll round this. I'll round 2100, my highest value, minus 300, my lowest value. I know it says 306, but I thought 300 would be nice and clean. I press enter, and then I'll divide by, let's say, 10. And that would be my width. I can make my width increments of 180. I could go by 200 if I wanted to. There's really no wrong answer here. So I'm going to make my width 180, and I'm going to start at 300. So I go back to my StatCrunch, see if I can open that up. And when I press options, I'm going to edit. And I can start at 300, and I can make my width 180. Again, you could choose different values here. I press compute, and notice my histogram looks a little bit different, right? Right, you notice I have a new number of bars, but the shape of my histogram looks pretty similar. Now I want to go back to the discussion topic, and I think there was some mention of the mean, median, and standard deviation. Right, so here was my discussion prompt, and it said something along the lines of what is the sample mean, median, and standard deviation? So in StatCrunch, there's a real nice way to calculate the mean, median, and standard deviation. I can press the stat key, and under summary stats, my data is in a column, right? This column var1. I'll select the var1, and I want to see the mean. I'm going to hold down the control key, the standard deviation, the median. I can even add other things like the range or the min value, the max value, the different the skewness, right? There are lots of different values I can add. I entered the mode, and then if I press compute, you get another table, and it will give me the mean, standard deviation, the median, the min value, the max value, the mode. So this is a quick way to perform these calculations, especially the standard deviation calculator. This was a real nice way to quickly determine that value. So I hope this helps you get started on your first discussion post. Have a great week.